Hello and welcome. My name is Bríd. I work with Ina McCrumlish in Louth Leader Partnership under the Employment Activation and Lifelong Learning measure. I'm going to discuss interview skills, and I want to thank you all for tuning into this, my first video of a three-part series on interview skills with Bríd. So the first thing I want to discuss is first impressions, body language, and how much we actually convey to others without actually speaking at all, and how we do that. So think of when you first meet a person. What is it that gives you a first impression? Really, it's their body language. Body language in the form of their deportment, their stance, how they're standing, their facial expressions, their eye contact or lack thereof, and their gestures. You get an impression from all of these things. So when you meet somebody first, they've conveyed an impression to you and you've conveyed an impression to them. And don't forget, you only get a first chance, one chance to create a first impression. So let's talk about, as I said, what are the facets and how they are created. Let's think about, for example, the first thing I mentioned there, deportment. When you see somebody coming towards you, what are you thinking? So I often say to my children in speech and drama classes, you know, give me the walk or the stance of a low status person. And invariably they walk slowly, they trudge along, their head goes down, they're not looking up, they're not animated. Then if I say to them, give me the walk or stance of a high status person, like for example, a king or a queen, after all it is drama classes. So they'll always stand up straight, throw their heads back and walk with purpose. In other words, your walk tells a lot about who you are and what you think of yourself. And if you don't think much of yourself, nobody else is going to either. If you're going in for an interview, trudging along with your head down, you're not giving your interviewers a feeling of confidence in you. So that's deportment. Then think about facial expression. Your countenance, it's a very old-fashioned word, but really it's the expression on your face. Is it warm? Is it welcoming? Is it soft? Or is it surly and sour? These things are really important. If you're going in for an interview, nobody wants to be greeted by somebody who's surly or sour. Just think of your own experiences in a shop. Have you often come away from being in a shop and thought, oh, what is wrong with that person? Or what did I do on them? And really they hadn't said anything to you. It was just the expression on their face. So that's really important. The other thing about body language is your eyes. I mean, for example, if somebody's rolling their eyes, what does that say? It means they're not impressed. If somebody's looking down and under their eyes a bit, it means they're shy or a bit, you know, maybe not to be trusted. If somebody's not looking at you, you feel uncomfortable. So in an interview setting, it's really important to look at the person that's speaking to you. And this can be difficult because if there are 2 or 3 people in the panel, who do you look at? Where do you look? You're darting from one person to the next. My tip here is to look at the person that asked the question and then gather in the others with your eyes, just as you would in a conversational setting. If you meet someone in the street and you only know the one person out of a group of 3, you don't just keep talking to that one person and exclude the others. You sweep in the others with your eyes, you include them. So that's my tip if there's a panel of interviewers. Answer the person who's asked the question by looking directly at them, but sweep in the others with your eyes. What is the other? Oh yes, gestures. Gestures are hugely important. Again, if you're kind of sitting with your back to someone, turning your side to somebody, what does that mean? It means you don't want to be engaged with them. It means you don't really like them, possibly, if you're in a social setting. If you're fidgeting at an interview, clicking a pen, twirling your glasses, it's just simply annoying. It shows you're nervous, it kind of portrays that you're not sort of settled and confident. So it's really important not to fidget. Equally, it's really important not to touch your face, to be pushing back your glasses, touching your nose, any of those things, or even a lot of people have a habit of moving their hair, flicking their hair. Those are very distracting habits. And a person wants to see your face. They don't want to see your face hidden behind a hand around your mouth or up at your hair. They don't want anything to distract from what you're saying or who you are. So it's really important not to touch your face. Equally, when you're sitting down, don't lean too far forward over the desk, making you look like you're really anxious or invading the interviewer's space. Don't lean back as if you couldn't care less or are not interested. Just sit calmly. Let your hands fall into your lap. Use your hands to gesture if you want, if it feels natural. Do not gesticulate wildly and gesture madly. It makes you look a little bit unhinged, to say the least. Just, as I said, let your hands fall into your lap and sit straight in the chair, not in a soldier fashion. You're not going to war. Just straight, relaxed, with your shoulders back, and try and chat naturally. The last thing I want to discuss is your voice. And I'm not talking here about what you actually say. The content of what you say will be discussed in another interview. I'm just talking here about literally body language. So the tone of your voice tells a lot. Have you a harsh tone? And that doesn't mean necessarily that you're cross, but it could mean that there's a lot of anxiety or tension in your voice. Is your tone too low? Is it too loud? Are you projecting your voice? Is your voice energetic and enthusiastic? Are you bothering to put energy into your voice? All of that gives an impression to interviewers. For example, if your voice is very laid back and low, it almost suggests to the interviewer that you're not bothered, you're not interested. You want the interviewer to believe in you. So you have to have a certain amount of energy in your voice. Equally, you don't want to be too loud or, boisterous, because they might think you're difficult to work with and you mightn't be a good team player. Now, it is a balancing act, but just try and get a calm, relaxed, friendly tone. All of those things are important, and you haven't even yet spoken. So what I'd like you to do is think about body language. Think about the facets that influence body language and work on them. You can practice your walk. You can practice your voice. You can practice looking at people. Eye contact. Look in the mirror. And if it doesn't work out the first time, if you think you're not confident enough, keep working on it. In other words, fake it until you make it and practice. Good luck to everyone.